Hey, what's going on, guys? We'll go ahead and give it a few minutes and then we'll go ahead and get started. Hey, what's going on, Austin? Good to see you here. Give it a few more minutes and we'll let everyone get in here and then we'll go ahead and get started on our weekly market overview. What's going on, Majak? Good to see you here as well. Hope you guys are having a great new year so far. Sparakos, another regular. Life is very good. What's up, guys? Good to see you. It's been a nice little start to the new year so far. I must say, the market has pleasantly surprised me. I did think we'd have a little more volatility the first few weeks before going up only, but looks like the market had other plans. Yes, Happy New Year, guys. Happy New Year. I've been doing fairly well. Thank you for asking. It's been a great new year so far. Things are starting off strong, and really I'm focused on habits and forming good habits and doing things that I don't want to do, increasing that willpower gene, and which is actually a thing, and really just focusing on getting things done, right? Removing that procrastination out of my life, getting things done. And you feel so much better when you do that as well, because honestly, you end up having more stress on yourself if you let things linger on, because those small things that you need to do, they add up and they actually fill your subconscious with negativity and clutter. And then that ends up adding on to the stress you already feel. So honestly, if you have stuff you need to get done, guys, like wash the dishes, wash your clothes, make your bed, do things for school, do things for your work, like just get it done. Just get it done so that way you don't have to think about it and you can actually focus on what matters. So life is very good. I am in the Layer FNF group. Yes, I am. It's an amazing group. It's actually the best FNF group there is. And they're very diligent with keeping people accountable, providing good content, quality content, and so that people provide value in that group and don't just clutter it up. So yeah, it's a great FNF, and I recommend anyone, if you are interested in getting in it, send me a DM on X and basically send me results of maybe tokens that you're in or projects that you may be getting in. And then if those turn out to play out very well, then potentially you could get an invite into it. So they're always looking for trenchers and people who are really deep into it. But with that said, guys, let's go ahead and get started. So, like I said, we're doing a market overview right now. So looking at the past 24 hours liquidations, $212 million. Of that, 166 being shorts. So long, shorts are the ones that are getting liquidated by the uptrend that we've been having the past few days. Now, if we look at the liquidity heat map, this is going to tell an interesting story because one, the past 24 hours shows there is liquidity above 92.1K and then some near the bottom of 90.2 and 89.4. So it is possible we have one last push to the upside before reverting down and potentially tagging a lot of those late longs because, as you know, in a bullish uptrend, things can continue, but at the same time, you do have to be careful because a lot of indicators are starting to get overbought. Now, looking at the weekly, there's not too much liquidity to the upside at 92.2K. Most of it is still to the downside now at 88.9, 88K, 87, even 86. So we are still in the short of the leverage short that I called on Bitcoin between 90 to 92K. I did expect there to be some resistance up here, which there is, but the strength of the market is actually what's concerning me from a short side, right? I do still think there is a possibility that the short plays out, but the market is very strong right now. And we saw that resiliency with the Venezuelan news of how quickly that supply got absorbed. I mean, we only went down 1 to 2% whenever it turned out the US bombed Venezuela, which I thought we would go down a lot more than that. So very interesting to say the least. And it shows the market's hand that the market is ready to go risk on. So Cody was asking, any idea when the bear market ends? I think 2026, people are going to be pleasantly surprised. I think we're going to have a nice little run in Q1 and potentially towards the latter half of the year as well. So I'll talk a little bit about that as we get towards the end of the stream. But yeah, I am fairly bullish for this year. James says, do you think oil will gap up? It's a possibility, James, and we'll talk about that as well because there's about $17 trillion worth of oil in Venezuela that the U.S. is going to use. And so that's going to be interesting to see what happens with those prices. But let's talk about the news. So as I was mentioning, Venezuela was the big news item, and now we have to see what happens with the U.S. starting to drill for their oil in there. obviously giving that to other countries, and going to be interesting to see how that aspect affects the overall markets, if the prices spike up or what happens afterwards. So we still have most likely a few more months to really see the repercussions of that, but it's going to be something that's playing off in the background as well. Now, besides that, we did have CZ continuing to bull post. Elon is giving Starlink free 1 month into Starlink for Venezuela, so props to him. But also, we have Michael Saylor hinting at buying more Bitcoin. Now, question on this, guys. With Michael Saylor buying more Bitcoin potentially, what does this mean for the price of Bitcoin? Does it mean we've reached a local top, or does it mean we've reached a local bottom? Curious what everyone thinks in the chat, because I know what happens historically when Michael Saylor buys Bitcoin, but I want to see what everyone in the chat thinks. Do you think it's going to mark a local top, or do you think it marks a local bottom? Curious what everyone thinks here. And David said he thinks oil is going to go down as a possibility as well, right? When there's more supply, potentially the price goes down, pushes it down. So let's see what happens with that. Martins, what do I think about KTA? KTA isn't a bad token. I think it just needs to get more adoption, but they do have a lot of developments in the background. So I know Luke is very bullish on KTA, and he's posted about it a lot on his X. So we just have to wait and see what happens, but it could be forming a local bottom. We can actually look at the chart as well later on. David said local top. Exactly. Yeah. Every time Michael Saylor buys, it marks a local top. I mean, I think it's 9 for 10 right now. And yes, we may have a little blow off top, you could say, maybe a push up to that 92K level. And it turns out he bought Bitcoin, but then it's going to be a short retracement afterwards. So that's something you guys need to realize is a lot of people use Michael Saylor as exit liquidity, right? I mean, if you were an institution and you were buying all this Bitcoin, then you had someone come in and buy hundreds of millions of dollars worth, why wouldn't you use them as exit liquidity? It just makes sense, especially if we've already been rising for the past few days. So, and indicators are being overbought. Stochastic RSI on the daily for Bitcoin, Ethereum, and Solana, etc. So, yeah, guys, it just makes sense that that's going to be a local top. So, how high we're going to go before then remains to be seen. But if he does buy it either today or tomorrow, I think it's a strong possibility it could be a local top for now. Yep, awesome. There you go. And Jacob says, buy the dips and sell the rips until further notice. Exactly, right? So we're now in a buy the dip market considering the strength of it. And so if that's going to be a bottom at 88.2K where the CME gap is located right now, then that's the bottom. I can't see us going much lower than 88K if we do have a dip here. But nonetheless, we'll see how the market reacts accordingly. James says, when Iran got attacked in June, prices spiked up by like $10, I think from around 60 per barrel to 70, then went back down the following week. Yeah, exactly. And it's just, we're going to see what happens, right? We're going to see what happens with the oil situation. So I don't think we're going to see it react right away, but over the next few months, we'll definitely see some effect to that. So now let's go ahead and look at the S&P. So the S&P looks like it's forming a little local top here, and here's the interesting thing as well, is the stock market outperformed crypto all last year. Most of last year, I should say, the latter half of last year. So I do believe that 2026 will see Bitcoin outperform the S&P. A couple of reasons for that. One, on the weekly, we're seeing a bearish divergence on the RSI, right? We had a little top here at 69.50, and now we're seeing a retracement. This bearish divergence is playing out. Next support for the S&P would be 66.40. Now looking at gold. Gold, similar thing here. We had a bearish divergence on the RSI play out, lower high on the RSI, higher high on price. Now it's also crossing below the signal line, signaling bearish momentum. And so it is holding at support of 42.70 on the weekly. And so if this continues to hold, then I expect gold to go higher. If not, if it does close the weekly below that, then I'll be looking for the next support around $4,000. Now, another interesting thing you guys need to realize is when precious metals are reaching their all-time highs like they are with silver, gold, palladium, platinum, etc., then you guys need to realize that afterwards, historically, Bitcoin does end up appreciating in price. And so that's a good thing for us, right? And if this is truly the temporary top of gold and silver, then we're going to see Bitcoin really rally. And we're going to see that transition from the S&P over to Bitcoin. Now, I'm still very bullish on the stock market this year, specifically AI, quantum, robotics, maybe biotech. But those narratives are going to continue to outperform. We're still in an AI bubble. Everyone's talking about Claude 4.5. If you guys haven't used Claude, I highly recommend it. It's like ChatGPT, but better for coding. And so, again, that's another thing why we've seen hype still in these new developments. And Elon even mentioned recently that we have entered the singularity. What the singularity is is basically we are advancing in tech so quickly that people can't keep up. It's literally exponential now with AI. And so the linear models that people have had no longer apply. Like, we're no longer following Moore's law. It's almost like Moore's law on steroids. Like, it's no longer a 2x improvement at half the cost. It's like a 10x, 50x, 100x improvement that people can't even keep up with. So that's something as well. But nonetheless, that's what I'm expecting for gold. And then oil futures, like I said, we'll see what happens with this over the next few months. And the dollar index, the DXY, right now it's crossing above its resistance, 98.40, potentially a run here to 98.80, which would also line up with a drop in the S&P and Bitcoin, inversely correlated. If it does close below, then I would expect 97.50, but not expecting to close below, still expecting a little price appreciation here for the dollar, and then potentially afterwards rejecting off this resistance and seeing a rally in Bitcoin and the S&P after that. But the RSI still has room to go, so that's why I am looking at that scenario. Next, let's look at the overall market. So Bitcoin up 1.1%, 91K. Ethereum 0.5%, 3130. Solana 1.3%, 133. Now the top gainers, look at this, guys. Bonk 31%, Pepe 14%, Shiba Inu 12%, Kaspa 10%. You see all of these coins double-digit gains, but I want to point at memes here. And I want to tell you guys why I'm pointing to memes, because a signal that retail is coming back and there's risk on in the market again is memes pumping, specifically OG memes, like we're seeing with Pepe, Bonk, Shiba Inu. Pepe was the first one to move here, 67% over the past 7 days. That is a clear signal that retail is back, that people are going more risk on. And there's a couple reasons for that. One, the end of the year is past. No longer is there profit taking and tax loss harvesting. That's over. Now you have a new year and people are ready to get back into the market and ready to start betting again. Now, yes, there's still some events coming up. The FOMC meeting, January 28th. Obviously, there's still a couple other uncertainties, but nonetheless, I do think that people are still, let me put it this way. Q4 was very bearish, right? It got people in selling the pump mode. So anytime there were pumps, people would sell off into those. Now, what's happening is the market is pumping and people are trying to sell that. They're trying to short those pumps and they're getting liquidated and pushing the price higher. Short squeeze. And so now what we've seen is, one, a clear short squeeze across the board, multiple days of up only. But two, we're seeing attention come back to memes. And also, if you look at the fear and greed index, let's look at that. It's at 40. Yesterday it was at 38. Last week it was at 29. The last month it was at 27. What is the trend you're seeing? Higher. What does this mean? It means people are no longer scared, okay? Now they're starting to feel more confident in the market. This is exactly what happened in April of last year. We were in extreme fear, just like we were in November of last year. And then we slowly started ticking up. Bitcoin went from 76,000 to a high of 118,000 over the next 4 months. I do think it's a very real possibility that we could see this kind of price appreciation over the next few months. I'm extremely bullish for Q1. I think we have an echo bubble, which is basically a bigger rally than we had last year. Now, that may sound far-fetched to people, but again, most people have PTSD, for lack of a better word, from Q4. They're conditioned to short the market on every single pump, and that's exactly what takes us higher. I did mention, yes, I'm in a Bitcoin short 90 to 92K, but I'm saying I don't think we're going to go much lower than 88K. I mean, any pullback is for buying. Considering the strength of the market, considering how well we absorb supply from the Venezuela bombing news, considering how well memes have been pumping recently, considering how much the fear and greed index has been appreciating, considering how much institutions, let's look at that now, ETF flows on institutions are their highest in over 2 weeks. On Friday, we had 471 million of inflows from Bitcoin, the highest in 2 weeks, guys. Look at Ethereum, we had 174 million of inflows, the highest in over 2 weeks. Institutions are ready to go risk on. This is a clear signal that shows us, hey, end of the year is over. Profit-taking, tax loss harvesting is over. It's a new year. People are now getting ready to hit it hard again. And we're seeing that with all of these metrics we've been looking at. So guys, you can't ignore the data. And that's why my name is CryptoData. I focus on the data, remove emotion out of the equation, because that's what's going to help you act rationally, not irrationally based off your emotions. Now let's go ahead and check a few comments here. Let's see. Jacob says, buy the dips and sell the rips until further notice. Exactly. Tenistic Production says, I have Aster at 140 and Fartcoin at 45. How cooked am I? So I'll talk about those two charts in a minute. Fartcoin looks relatively good. Aster is not too bad, but again, I'll talk about those. I'm seeing bullish signs on potentially both. Bayo edits, ACD, happy holidays. Hey, appreciate you, Bayo. Happy holidays as well. David says, SpaceX IPO, whenever it is going to rip the space mining and all sector maybe too. David, great point on the SpaceX IPO. Guys, for anyone who doesn't know, the SpaceX IPO is actually very, very bullish for the overall market, like you were saying. So SpaceX IPO is going to happen in the second half of 2026, most likely, and it's going to be at a 1 trillion plus valuation. I believe around 1.5 trillion. And so this is going to also create that second half rally in AI, the mining industry, right? Robotics, quantum, everything else. Like, it's just going to create another euphoric moment for the sectors. And so do not ignore this. Great point, David. Great point for that. What else do we have? Snifted says, hey, CD, good to see you. How are you? Hey, I'm doing great, Snifted. Good to see you. Happy New Year. Like I said before, I'm focused on doing things I don't want to do because it's going to help increase the size of that willpower gene, which is a real thing. David Goggins talks about it with Andrew Huberman on one of their podcasts. And also, it helps you to get rid of procrastination. And that's the thing that's my focus this year. If I have something I got to do, even if it's a small task, I get it done. I wash the dishes, I make the bed, I clean the house, whatever it is, I get it done. And I recommend everyone watching this stream right now and listening, you do the same thing, because I promise you guys, getting things done that you don't want to do gives you a high like nothing else. Talk about being high on life. Like, getting all of your tasks done, that sense of accomplishment carries you into doing other things and really focusing on your goals versus being dragged down by those menial tasks. Trust me, I promise you, start doing things that are on your to-do list. Just get them knocked out, and you will become the best version of yourself sooner than you expect. Snifted says, do you think meme coins will continue to pump? You know, we'll probably have a pullback within the next few days, but I do think that there is a lot of attention returning to memes, not just the majors, and we'll definitely start to see that flow into the overall market. So, yeah, I do think it's possible after a little pullback. Let's see. Martin says Co-AI could pump next few days. Potentially, yeah. Potentially. I'll have to keep an eye on that as well. Lewis says, CD, what do you think about entering a long at 90K on BTC? Not a bad idea, Lewis. Not a bad idea. And we'll talk about that in the charts as well. Let me actually bring up the BTC chart. So let's go ahead and check that out. So let's go on the daily here. So here's the thing, guys. And I'll go over a few charts. I'll go to some questions again. I'll kind of switch back and forth here. But the biggest thing for Bitcoin, and I posted this in my short, okay? I said, 1, we have the liquidity zone coming up on Bitcoin, and then 2, we have the 50 EMA on the daily. Now, if you look at the past on the 50 EMA, you can see Bitcoin did close above it for 2 candles, and then it closed back below it. That was in October. Then you can see it acted as resistance on October 13th, acted as support on September 30th, acted as resistance September 24th, acted as resistance September 9th, September 5th. You see the pattern here, right? So the 50 EMA is a significant level, and that's what you have to look if it reacts significantly when it approaches or comes back to it as support. And so now the question becomes, are we going to hold the 50 EMA? Are we going to hold it as resistance, or is the daily going to close above it? Now, the thing you have to realize is if we close just above it, that's not enough. We have to close significantly above it. I'm talking about 92.8K or higher, like really close above it, okay? If it's 2 candle closes above and it's significant, then yes, then that signals a shift in the trend. I do believe we are going to close above it in the near future. I don't know if it's going to be right now. Potentially, we could have this pullback, right, into this 88.5K support and then higher from there. If we look at the indicators, the stock RSI has been overbought for 4 days in a row. It's only a matter of time before we have the kind of pullback we've seen in the past when it's overbought. The only difference is the RSI is even higher now. So again, signaling people are going more risk on, more bullish momentum. It doesn't necessarily mean it's bearish. But what I'm looking for is, 1, where the daily closes today, and then if we pull back into these levels, right? Now, you were asking about longing at 90K, Lewis. So 90K is going to be around this level here, the bottom of this red line. It's possible it bounces there. Now, if we go to the 4-hour, finally pulling back a little bit, but Bitcoin's bouncing off this RSI. So actually, this is pretty bullish on the 4-hour. It's pretty bullish on the 4-hour, and I can see us going even higher here. So I think 90K isn't a bad level to long, especially considering we bounced multiple times on the 4-hour, and the 200 EMA is at 89.7K. So yeah, I mean, Bitcoin, like we were saying before, if Michael Saylor ends up buying, he'll push us to 92K. And then that's going to really determine if we stay above there, whereas the 50 EMA is at 91.5K, or if we reject down after that. Okay, so yeah, I think 90K is not a bad level. I think it's a good first level, and then DCing at 88.5 is another good level if you want to go 5x leverage or less. Definitely not a bad plan. Even though the stock RSI is overbought, things people need to realize is this can stay overbought for a while. Just like back in, you can see here, let me go ahead and zoom out. Just like with here, right? Back in June, when it stayed overbought and then it kind of went reset, but we just kept going higher. Okay, there wasn't really any major pullback per se. I think that's where we're at right now. I think even back here in April, right, what we were talking about with the fear and greed index, it kind of just went from 76K all the way to 118. And look at the stock RSI. It was literally overbought April 12th all the way to May 3rd. 3 weeks. 3 weeks it was overbought, and we literally just sent the whole way. Pullbacks were minimal. I think it's very, very possible we could be seeing this. So what does that mean is, well, my bias is going to be to the long side, right? It's going to be to the long side. And yes, I did have a short here because of everything that we're seeing right now. But if we start closing above, then any dip is going to be for longing, which I still believe is the case right now. See what other questions we have. Ghost recap. What do you think on U.S. oil? Is it going to pump this week? It's possible. I'm not as well versed on U.S. oil, to be honest, so I don't want to give a definitive answer on that. But I think there is a possibility, depending how things turn up with Venezuela. It's Conroy says, got bagged in Render and FET. You know, Render was actually doing fairly good today because Tau has been pumping, so the AI narrative is still strong. But yeah, I know that's most altcoins have retraced 70, 80+%. And that's just a matter of the fact because there's been so many alts launching, Pump Fund, 4.meme, all these launch pads. I mean, it's just really saturating the market. Bayo Edit says, thoughts on BTC 50 EMA? Just gave that. Any comments about FET? I'll look at FET in a minute. Bayo Edits on the 1 month liquidity map is all to the downside, and there is a lot to the downside. Hey, no problem, Lewis. Let's go look at that Bayo Edits. Let's look at the 1 month. So this is on CoinGlass, by the way. If you guys want to see, I'll go ahead and link it in the chat. So yeah, we tagged this liquidity to the upside, and now there's a lot to the downside at 86.2K. I mean, yeah, it'd be amazing if we got down there. I don't know if we're going to get down there per se. I think it's possible we still get up to 92K here. Still a real possibility. But at the end of the day, it's just being patient and seeing where the market wants to go. Because it can still just continue higher from here. Because there is so many people waiting to long, right? Like people now know we're in a bull. You could say echo bubble, bull market, whatever you want to call it. Mini rally. People know we're in one now. Like it's no surprise because all these memes have been pumping and how strong we've held despite any type of negative news via wars or anything else. So, I mean, that's going to be the big thing right now, right? And we also have poly market. So the Fed, the decision in January, 90% chance it's no change. So with that said, most likely has already been priced in. So now it's going to depend on the Fed outlook. So January 28th, guys, keep an eye on that date because whatever the Fed says, if they said, hey, we may cut rates in March, well, cool. The market's going to pump. If they say we're not going to cut rates for the foreseeable future, well, then the market's probably going to drop a little bit. If they say we may raise rates in the future, the price is really going to drop. And so the Fed outlook is going to make a big, is going to be a big deal. But remember, Jerome Powell's getting out of office in May. So May, you can imagine we're probably going to pump into May. But when the new Fed chair gets in, whoever it is, know that they're going to go with whatever Trump says. If Trump says he wants to cut more rates, they're going to cut more rates. If Trump says he wants to start QE, if it hasn't started yet, quantitative easing, they're going to start it. And so Trump is getting ready for the midterms, November 2026. I believe that's going to be the top. That's probably going to be the actual top of the market. And so we have to be patient as that approaches. Obviously, there's going to be volatility, but we still have a lot of catalysts. But it is going to start with January 28th and what the Fed says afterwards. Tinistic says, are you bullish on ZEC for the next 2 to 3 months? Yes, I'm bullish on the privacy narrative for the next 2 to 3 months. And I'll tell you why. Because if you look at ZEC, and again, guys, I'll go over the Ethereum chart, Solana chart. I'll go over KTA. I'll go over Fetch and a few others. So let me just cover this real quick. So Zcash, you look at the 3 month, it's fairly healthy. It was up only. We had a pullback. It's respected support. Now it's grinding up again. Okay? That tells you Zcash is a good token. Now, for example, like if you look at, let's just say Railgun, okay? Railgun is another privacy token, but its chart isn't as bullish, okay? You look at, what are some other privacy tokens? We can actually even look at the narratives here. So even Zero Knowledge, right? ZK. So if you look at Starknet over the past 3 months, not a bullish chart. But you look at, let's say XMR, Monero, over the past 3 months, look at that. I mean, literally, it's basically been up only with standard pullbacks. So Monero and Zcash, I'm very bullish on for the privacy narrative. Privacy coins, right? So privacy coins, the privacy narrative, Zcash, Monero, these are the top ones. These are the ones I'm focused on. Now, there's other ones. Umbra. Umbra is a big one I think people are sleeping on, and you guys are actually getting some alpha right now. But Umbra is one I think is going to go up to $4.50 to $5. Right? It's a privacy token and it's a MetaDAO launchpad. MetaDAO tokens do very well. Look at the past 3 months. It's held. Right? It's higher at the end of 3 months than it was before. That's bullish. Okay? It's holding. So this is what you want to see. Even in the last month, okay, it's still holding, right? It's not like it's down only. And so Umbra is another one I'm very bullish on, along with Zcash and XMR. Now let's talk about Ethereum. Also, guys, real quick, if you guys aren't following me on X at the CryptoData, definitely do so. I post a lot of good content. I posted it in the comments just now, and I actually had a post that I made 12 hours ago about a lot of the bullish catalysts that I'm seeing. So make sure you guys check that out and follow if you are not. Now, let's go ahead and go over Ethereum. All right, so Ethereum's at 31.36. Now, similar here to Bitcoin, although slightly different, you have Ethereum now at 31.20, okay? Now, I know right now I'm seeing that you guys can't really see the price on the recording, so let me actually see if I can fix that real quick. Let me see if I can. 1 second, guys. I want to make sure you guys are properly. Okay, here we go. That should be better now for the chart. You guys should be able to see it now on the screen. But nonetheless, so when you have Ethereum right now that is at 31.36, it's above its 50 EMA on the daily. Bitcoin was below it. So now, I mean, look at this. It's literally respecting it as support. This is a bullish sign. Like, this tells me Ethereum is probably going to outperform Bitcoin over the next few weeks. Alts are going to outperform Bitcoin. So just like the stochastic RSI is overbought, it's at 100 right now. Yes, we usually pull back based off the December data, but if you go to July, when Ethereum absolutely sent, its stochastic RSI was at 100 that whole time. Similar to April, right? So that's why, even though right now we are overbought, like, this is when things become irrational. And there's a popular saying, the market can stay irrational longer than you can stay solvent. Meaning, if you're trying to short anytime something is overbought and the market's in a bullish uptrend, you're going to get blown out. You're going to blow up your account. And so right now we're seeing higher lows with Ethereum. We're seeing it break above resistance. We're seeing it break above its major EMAs, holding it as support. So unless Ethereum closes the daily below the 50 EMA at 31.15, then I remain bullish on Ethereum, and I'm targeting 32.70, right? That's just the name of the game. And so, I mean, it's showing me that it wants to go higher. If you look at the 4 hour, the 4 hour is now technically resetting. The RSI reset below overbought. Now it looks like it wants to curve back to the upside. The stock RSI is almost oversold again. And so, I mean, Ethereum looks like it's just getting ready for another leg. And it's funny to say that because of how overbought the stock RSI is. But again, things remain irrational when you have that shift from a bearish to a bullish trend. So there's something to keep in mind. Now, support, if Ethereum closes below 30.50 and then 29.30. But if we continue higher, 32.70, Maybe the 200 EMA may provide some short-term resistance at 33.50, which also coincides with this little high that we had here. So I'll go ahead and have a little resistance here. And then after that 3,500, it's going to be a lot of resistance, 35 to 3,600. It's going to be a good shorting opportunity here with low leverage. Let's see. Tenistic Productions. Do you think Pepe will pull back in the upcoming days after 70% up only? It's a possibility, right? It's a possibility. And even on Pepe, with this indicator here, my candle matrix indicators, one of my custom ones I made, but you can see these TP signals, they've called the bottom multiple times and called the top. Now they're calling the bottom again. And what happened with Pepe? It absolutely sent. Same thing is happening here, guys. Like the weekly, if you look at any chart, the weekly is oversold on any chart, okay? And that's why we're seeing this massive run right here. And so could Pepe pull back? Yes, it could. Where is it going to pull back to? That's another question in and of itself. And we can look at that on another chart here. I mean, so let's just go ahead and chart a few things on the daily. Okay, so if you're looking to buy Pepe, then I would look at 6.3, the 6.3 level, because it was resistance in the past, now it's support. Now it's going to confirm as support after the daily closes today in a few hours, but nonetheless, 6.3 would be where I would look to buy as support. Now below that, 5.1 could be another level, but again, 6.3 should hold, should hold. And so that's what I would look for Pepe, after continuing higher than resistance at 7.5 to 7.6 afterwards. So technically we could say support maybe 5.5, but yeah, 6.3 and then 5.5. So I think it's a possibility. I mean, especially with the RSI as crazy overbought as it is right now. I mean, it's just a matter of time until we pull back here. So 6.3 would be my first buy level. Now let's go ahead and look at Solana. Now, Solana played out perfectly, guys. Like, we talked about this double bottom in the last live stream, and literally it's played out to a T. Like, literally played out to a T. So now, where's the resistance for Solana? Well, similar to Bitcoin, it's just below its 50 EMA on the daily at 136. Now, just above that at 137, 138 is this horizontal support, which also coincides with this trend line support. Now, where does this trend line support stem from, or trend line resistance, mind you? Where does that stem from? Well, I know there's a lot of lines here, so try to ignore that. But you can see starting from here, we have resistance, and then it acts as support a little bit, resistance. So we're coming up against resistance again. So now the question becomes, is Solana going to reject off of this level, 137, 138? I think it's a possibility. I think looking at the indicators right now, the stochastic RSI looks like it may potentially be ready to curve down. The RSI looks like it's slightly curving to the downside, a little neutral here. And so it's a possibility, guys. Like at the end of the day, we just got to be patient and wait. I would probably have some short orders near 137 and 138 for Solana. That'd be a good level. And then aggressive take profit is 130. Conservative take profit would be around 134, because I'm not sure how much we're going to pull back. Again, I need to say this again. The market is extremely bullish right now. Like memes, fear and greed index, ETF flows, weekly indicators. All of this is pointing towards higher. And so now you need to shift your mindset again. I don't need to sell all the pumps. I just need to be patient. Yes, indicators are overbought, but at the same time, I'll wait till they pull back a little bit so you're not, completely screwing your risk reward here. But at the same time, the trend is your friend. And so let's wait and see what happens. Obviously, I'm still shorting near these 50 EMAs until proven otherwise. But at the end of the day, you're still managing risk accordingly. Let's see, Lewis, what do you think about broccoli? It's pumping hard, BNB gaining strength, and Astra in 6 to 7 could be the next token to pump. Good question. So I mentioned memes are doing very well. Lewis pointed out broccoli. I mean, crazy pump right now, right? Let me real quick do some SR lines on this. So broccoli, probably right there too. So broccoli, good support. If it can hold 2.9, be very bullish. 2.9 cents, and then 2.5 cents will be the next support, just under or just above the 200 EMA. Now, you look at the indicators, very, very overbought for broccoli. And so whatever pump this is that's going on, I would definitely take some profits if you haven't, if you're in from lower. But at the same time, let's see where this daily candle closes. Is it going to close above this daily, which would be bullish, and then consolidate around this 3-cent level, which is also psychological, and then continue higher? Or is it going to pull back, get close to this 2.5 cent, close to this 200 EMA, and then go higher from there, right? So yeah, you said BNB Eco is heating up again. I would say let's look at the underlying token, BNB, and see where it's at right now. Well, looks like the BNB token is at 896, just below that 900 resistance. So, which also, again, coincides with the 50 EMA. You guys are seeing a pattern here. This 50 EMA on BNB that was acted as support in the past, now it is acting as resistance. Potentially turn support in a minute here, but let's see where the daily closes. I believe in, what is that, 3.5 hours, 4.5 hours? So right now, though, it is bouncing off of the 200-day EMA, and so that's bullish. So if you're thinking about longing BNB at all, then I would look at 875. That'd be a good level for a pullback because the stock RSI is still overbought. But again, it doesn't look like it wants to come down just yet. The RSI is still curving to the upside. So a lot of bullish momentum, guys. The big trigger, in my opinion, is going to be if BNB can close a daily above 900. If it can close above 900, all bets are off. Then we're starting a new uptrend on BNB. And then, yes, you'll see tokens like Aster, like Broccoli continue to pump. Okay, speaking of Aster, I know you were asking about Aster as well. Still bullish, okay? Is this finally the reversal we're looking for on Aster? Is this that little cup pattern and everything? It's going to go higher from here? It's possible, right? It's very, very possible we see a little curve higher from here because Aster has been so beat down. But at the same time, where's its indicators at? Well, RSI still has room to go. Stock RSI potentially topping out. I would look for resistance on Aster at 81 cents. After that, looking at 89, which coincides with the 50-day EMA. Support-wise, if you want to wait for a little pullback here, 73 cents. And then below that, 66 cents. So that's my thoughts on Aster. Still possible we do one last pump to 81 and then a rejection from there. If we do reject right now, then 73, I potentially have a buy order there. Let's see what else we got. Lewis says BNB ecosystem so underrated right now. Absolutely. Ethereum is a little too much dependent on BTC. I think it's risky for long right now. Sniffed it. You're right on that, right? Ethereum is a little risky because BNB is looking somewhat bearish right now. But let's go ahead and look at the ETH BTC pair. So this is something I like to look at on the weekly. Let's see real quick. Weekly chart's a little weird right now. We're kind of hugging this trend line resistance, but let's look at the indicators on the weekly. Okay, so here's what we're looking at on the weekly. The RSI, bullish here. Looks like it wants to cross above. Now again, we could reject from the signal line, but if we cross above this, it's gonna be very bullish. The stochastic RSI still has room to run. So ETH BTC chart, very close to breaking out. Very, very close to breaking out. Now it's right at support as well. So let's see where the weekly closes on this. But I mean, ETH potentially looks like it may want to make a higher low here. All right. It could be the start of one, but still too early to tell. But you are right. Still a little risky longing ETH while BTC is kind of in a precarious position. But nonetheless, I mean, if it's showing strength, it's showing strength, right? So that's something we'll need to watch out for. The monthly's a little overbought, actually. Maybe a curve. So, yeah, let's see what happens. Let's give it some time. Let's see what happens on ETH. But, yeah, very, very interesting to say the least. Hard facts. Did you already chart BTC? I did. Hard facts, I did. And I'll bring back the chart so you can see it. This is recorded. This live stream is recorded. So if you guys want to see it afterwards, just go to the Jim Hunters YouTube channel. It will be there. This is my big thing for BTC. It's right below its 50 EMA. If it closes above this on the daily significantly, like 92.8K or so, then we're going a lot higher. So it needs to be a definitive close above. But right now, there is still a lot of liquidity to the up or to the downside. 88.5K would be a great long area. If Bitcoin gets anywhere close to this, huge long area, okay? but we have to be patient right now. Stochastic RSI is overbought, but the RSI still has room to go. And so right now, that's why I'm saying Bitcoin, a little precarious, could go down here, but it's going to depend on the daily close because there is a lot of demand. There's a lot of strength here so far. Do you expect BTC to get back to 89K? I don't know if it's going to get that low, honestly. Like, this strength is very impressive. And it reminds me of previous times when a new bull cycle starts, or at least a little rally starts, and we just keep going higher and we ignore the technicals. It's very, very close to doing that right now. This close above the 50 EMA would be a basically nail in the coffin for shorts. Bronte says, would you make any buy on spot right now? I don't know if I'd make a buy on spot right now because after everything is pumped so much, but I would look at tokens that are outperforming. So Ethereum looks somewhat good right now. Maybe DCA. There's been also comments about, so I was talking about Solana. So let me just finish my Solana analysis and I'll go over a few other alts. So like I said, Solana potentially a short near here, 137, 138. Resistance if it breaks through, 145 and then 155. Support for Solana is 130, 125, and then 117. These are the levels I would look at. Now, talking about potential spot buys. So someone was asking me about Fartcoin earlier. When I'm looking for Fartcoin, the daily closed above its 50 EMA, I mean, looks very, very good, right? Now the weekly, what's interesting here, it's making higher lows. The RSI bouncing off the signal line, it's going even higher. Stochastic RSI going higher. So Fartcoin looks good. Like, honestly, if I was looking for a spot bag, Fartcoin would be up there as one. Because I know a lot of big guys are looking to make a lot of money off of it again. And I mean, if you just look at the weekly chart, it looks pretty bottomed out to me. I mean, that looks like something that's basically getting ready to make another run, you know? So it's possible. So I think Fartcoin is an interesting one. Maybe Aster, just because I am seeing so many people talk about it again. I'm seeing the BNB Eco heat up, just like Lewis was mentioning. And so it's possible that we start to see these tokens perform again. So maybe Fartcoin and Aster, if you're looking to buy spot. For the others, maybe let them cool off a little bit, like Bitcoin and Ethereum. But I mean, Ethereum has a bullish pattern on it. So like I said, it may show some strength up to 3270. Let's see, Tenistic Productions. How is it possible? Do you see an alt season as such? 6 to 12 weeks of strong pumps in Q1, Q2 of 2026. I think because of so much PTSD, people are going to sell very early. Exactly. So how possible do I see it? Okay. It's very possible. It's very possible we see a massive rally over the next few months. And I mean, just real quick, some of the reasons. One, we have a new Fed chair coming in May 2026. We have potentially QE starting within the next few months. We have Treasury buybacks ongoing. We have potential more rate cuts coming. We have a big tax refund coming. That's what Trump was saying. We have more stimulus coming. We have potential stimulus in mid 2026 for earners under 100,000. Trump was talking about, I think, a $2,000 stimulus check. We have more ETF flows starting again. The fear and greed index is rising. We have bullish patterns forming. We have weekly bottoming out on most indicators, curving to the upside. We have meme coins pumping again. I mean, there's a lot of reasons, right? And so I think at the very least, we'll see a couple of weeks of bullish price action. I think you're right about people having PTSD, for lack of a better word, on selling early and selling pumps from Q4 because it was so horrendous and everyone got wrecked. But the exact reason of everyone getting wrecked is why we're going to pump, because the market makers literally wrecked everyone, longs and shorts, mostly longs. But at the end of the day, when you have everyone that's liquidated to the downside, the only way to go is up, right? And so now it's just waiting for those higher lows to confirm, waiting for those indicators to confirm, waiting for those trends to start breaking above the 50 EMA, the 200 EMA on the daily and weekly. And then we really start a new uptrend, and that would be the confirmation. But yes, a lot of smart people I've talked to, they think an echo bubble is happening, and they think that we're really about to send. So a lot of stuff coming, guys. David says, as far as 2025 memes, what do you think is or are still on the cool side? I thought brainwart was historical, but I got wrecked. So the cool side, if you mean that they haven't pumped yet, and correct me if I'm wrong on that, I do think Umbra's not a meme, but Umbra, I think it's going to go a lot higher here. If my chart loads, yes, it will. Flying ketamine horse. Yes, this has already pumped a lot. This is actually one I was charting way earlier, but I do think Flying Ketamine Horse can still go a lot higher. I know it's at 12 mil already, and you guys like the long memes that are a lot lower, but I think there's an opportunity that we could see higher. There is some connections to World Liberty Fi and Flying Ketamine Horse. World Liberty Fi being one of Trump's companies. And so it's USD1 pair, very bullish, and I do think there's a big possibility we go higher. So Flying Ketamine Horse is one. I know FAFO is another one that's been going crazy. Again, this one, I don't necessarily know this token specifically, but I know if Trump, he mentioned that Colombia better be on watch, Mexico better be on watch. So if he ends up doing the same thing he did to Venezuela, to Mexico or Colombia, then FAFO is definitely going to rise again because the White House is probably going to tweet about it. Now, besides that, I mean, there's a few others. I can't think of them off the top of my head. Oh, there's another one actually. One that I'm in, again, it's very, very debatable, but hearing. So hearing things, right? Like there's always this meme of, oh, there's rumors going around that so-and-so is in this token or it's going to pump. So like there's a meme hearing things. And it's just something that I've seen in a lot of TG groups. And a couple people I know that are big into memes got into this one. I'm into this one. Full disclosure, I'm into this from like 600K. So just above where it's at right now. Is it going to play out? I don't know. But it's a gamble. And it's holding up well so far, so maybe it may continue higher, but again, always manage risk, guys. At the end of the day, if you're on a really good level to buy it out, 290,000, and then maybe 440,000 if it gets there. But yeah. So hearing things, Flying Ketamine Horse. I mean the white whale. I mean that's already sailed, right? That ship is already sailed. Like I don't think there's going to be any better value in this, but this is just a testament that memes are still here to stay and that there's still opportunities around. 64 mil, clear as day. So yeah, I mean, there's any other indication you have to see besides that. I mean, that's just memes are here to stay. So yeah, I would say for those tokens are ones I would be looking at. Florijan says, can you check virtual, please? Yes, I'll check virtual and I'll also check KTA. So I know you guys were asking about that earlier. Let's see, virtual. Okay. So here's what I had on virtual. This weekly little almost pennant, if you will. It broke to the downside, but the support level has held at 70 cents. Now it's at 89. Where are we going next? Well, look at this. Very, very bullish here. The RSI is close to crossing above its signal line on the weekly. The stock RSI is looking like it's curling up. Virtual looks good, especially if AI tokens continue like Tau has been pumping. Guys, virtual looks prime time, especially if the weekly can close above 87 cents. And so if it closes above that, I'd be very bullish on it. Now, what I thought here is, yes, you do still have the stock RSI overbought, the RSI getting close. And so I would like to wait for a pullback. Let me open a new virtual chart just so we can get a little bit clearer picture. Okay, so let me go ahead and delete all of this and delete, or at least hide these EMAs. Okay, so if we look at this from a clean slate and just say, okay, what are the levels to look at for virtual? Just real quick. Okay, so and then potentially right there. Okay, so this cleans things up a little bit. Yes, we do have potentially some support here. So if I was a betting person, I would say 82 cents would be a good pullback level for virtual. If you can get near 82 cents, then that would be a nice little higher low for continuation there. But yeah, that's the level I'd look at for virtual. Next target, since it's already passing this resistance level, would be $1. Psychological level, easy take profit target, and then from there you're looking at $1.18, and after that $1.50. So that's the levels I'm looking at for virtual. Looks good so far. Almost a little double bottom here. Again, it's a stretch, right? But almost kind of a double bottom. It did at least bounce off of this level twice. So good to see there. But yeah, virtual looks good. And let me look at KTA real quick. because I said I would pull that up. So KTA, again, the biggest thing with KTA right now is it needs to get above this level, guys. Like, I don't know what else to say. Could it still rise? Yes, it could, but it needs to start doing something. And the fact of the matter is the stock RSI is overbought. The RSI, yes, is curving to the upside a little bit. So what would be my next target for KTA? I look at 27 cents. But again, it needs to gain volume again. What happened with KTA was a ton of people got in early, a lot of big whales, and basically ran it up, a lot of marketing and everything, and then it double topped and just bled. Now, similar to Aster, could KTA be forming a nice little cup, right? Could it form this? It's possible. And then could have a little handle here, boom, 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 and higher from there. Yes, that's very possible. But we need to see if there's any follow through here. Is there going to be follow through? Is it going to break above this 27 cent level and continue higher? Break above 30 cents? Like, because this is where all the price action happened and it could not hold above. So that's going to be the next big level I'd watch. So for KTA, if you're looking for an entry, I mean, I just hate this stochastic RSI is overbought. Or it's getting overbought. But still, here's the thing here. It's also coming up against support, turn, and resistance right here at 23 cents. So I'd love to buy it near 21 cents if it gives the opportunity again. I have an order near 21 if you guys want the best risk reward. Now, if the daily closes above 23.5, then it could create support, could act as support, then I would buy on a retest, right? If it's a significant close above, like way above here, 24, 25 cents, then yeah, I'd be a buyer at the support level of 23. But we need to start reclaiming these major resistance zones, turn support again. That's how you start to get better levels. Maximilian says, you once said you thought Brett was dead, but it pumping like this, did it change your view? Let's go ahead and look at Brett. So Brett's pumping right now because a lot of memes are pumping and usually have a cascade effect. Now, the thing I will give Brett, it did hold this support like a champ. Like when it bottomed here at 1.3 cents, or yeah, 1.3, then it bounced multiple times. So good on Brett, right? Now, here's the thing. RSI is getting overbought. Stock RSI is already overbought in the daily. So what I would look for, one, you have resistance right here where it's rejecting. Now, the next thing would be, well, the next target would be 2.4 cents. I would not be a buyer here on Brett. I mean, trying to find a clear level, maybe here, 1.6 cents. Wait for a retracement if possible. But did this pump change my view on Brett? I mean, let me look at the weekly. All right, so the weekly looks good. I'll give you that. RSI crossing signal line, stock RSI performing actually a nice little bullish divergence. Higher low on the stochastic RSI, where we had I mean, you could say we didn't have a lower low necessarily. It was more of a same low. So again, that could technically still be a bullish divergence. But yeah, I would say for the time being, Brett does look good. For the time being, okay? Now what's going to happen is what's going to happen when it reaches this 2 cent level. Can it close above it? And it's going to continue to make higher lows. So 1.6 cents, I'd probably be a buyer. Any lower than that, then it's most likely dead. Tenistic and Fartcoin, what sell points would you set? So I believe I said, what, 82 cents, 89, and then $1 for Fartcoin. David said, these memes are all new to me. Where do you find them? I usually browse TikTok as I thought it was a place where stuff goes viral, but apparently TikTok and crypto are not much related in future. So TikTok is still good. There's still a lot of profitable memes on TikTok that you can find that translate to crypto. Honestly, though, I just find them in my various groups I'm in. So TG groups, Discord groups. I'll look on X. Usually you'll find some accurate callers on X, and they'll start talking about a token, and it'll pump. And so that's usually where I'll find them. But yeah, a lot of times it's just in my groups of people who are in the trenches. A lot of times in Lair, like someone asked me if I was in the Lair FNF group. Yeah, Friends and Family group. Yes, it's very, very good. It's the best FNF group there is. But yeah, there's a lot of trenchers in there, a lot of people who are hungry. And so that's a lot of times where I find them. Florigen says, what do you think about the Key Cat meme? I thought it was pretty funny. I know that It's on base, and base could be pumping because ETH is pumping and L2's pump is the betas. So if we're looking at KeyCat right now on the daily, I mean, good bounce so far. Where do we go from here? Well, now it's how does it react once it gets to 15 mil? That's the next big level. We can look at the RSI. That's starting to get overbought. So you're seeing a lot of patterns here, right? Basically that the RSI is starting to get overbought. So now we're seeing resistance about 15 mil. So I'm expecting this to act as resistance and a little pullback here. Where's the pullback to? Well, look at 11.6 mil as a potential pullback. But yeah, the fact that ETH is outperforming shows you beta plays start to outperform like L2s, like base and others. And so memes, obviously from Pepe, you have a cascade effect down to lower caps. So that's how everything is connected right now and why memes on base are pumping. Brett, KeyCat, etc. So how does the weekly look? Weekly, not too bad either. Not too bad either. So, but again, guys, as we start to get overbought, just look to place those, those limit orders for lower. Don't chase these pumps. But yeah, KeyCat's not too bad. We could be forming, potentially start to get highs, but I need to get above 15 mil to get interesting for me. Bayo Edis says, thanks for all the TA. Ain't no problem. Lewis says, what do you think about Giggle? Giggle is one of the BNB memes popularized by CZ, his Giggle Academy. That's not it. Hold on. Let me see. Giggle. Hold on. Let me see if it's on TradingView. Here we go. Okay, now this was a Binance one. I like to find charts with more history. MEXC usually has more. There it is. Daily. All right, so we talked about BNB potentially coming back. Needs to close above 900 to come back. But looking at Giggle right now. Here we go. Okay, so Giggle is coming up against resistance. 85, nearly rejected off there before. RSI is curving to the upside, crossing above 50. Stochastic RSI is overbought. So pretty much same. I would either look to take profits near 85, or if you're looking to long, 57 is a great level. If you want to long sooner than that, potentially around 65 could be a good level. But yeah, Giggle doesn't look horrible. If we look at the weekly chart, RSI is at 54. Not too much history for weekly. But yeah, Giggle doesn't look too bad. It bottomed out December 18th. It's kind of been up only from there. I may be a buyer at 65, but any sooner than that, no. I'm just going to wait it out, wait for these indicators to reset a little more. And I would also look at X, put in the cash tag Giggle on the search bar, see who's talking about it, any big influencers, any big catalysts that they have. Obviously, if CZ starts talking about it again, that'll be a nice catalyst. But yeah, I mean, if you want to play it as a beta play to BNB, if it starts outperforming, just like with Aster and a few others, then yeah, you could do that. It's definitely one of those big beta plays on the BNB eco. Broccoli, Giggle, Aster, etc. David says, where do you trade meme coins? So Gym Hunters uses the Photon bot, link in the description. I'll trade memes usually on Sigma or even Photon, yes. The Sigma bot I use, I know a lot of people use, for example, I think it is, oh, I'm drawing a blank on it right now. It's not Aster, but it's the other one. Starts with an A. But yeah, there's a few other meme platforms people use. Trojan Bot. Yeah, but Gym Hunters use Photon. So feel free to use that one. It's a good one. David says, thank you, man. First time here. Great experience. Maybe last question if you can. What about Linya? David, awesome. So glad you're enjoying it. And yeah, whenever I have live streams, I like to give people what they want. I like to TA, chart a lot of coins. I can do it fairly quickly. So I like to help people out in that aspect. Linya was an interesting one. Linya was doing good in the past. It did look like it was, you become eligible for the MetaMask airdrop, yada, yada. But since then, it kind of just bled all over since MetaMask does not look like they're even having an airdrop anytime in the future. So as far as support resistance lines for Linya and what the chart looks like, I would just say be careful. Yes, it's starting to get a little better here, just like with a lot of coins. But stock RSI is at 66, so I wouldn't touch Linya here. I mean, I just wouldn't touch it. Like, If you want to buy it, maybe 0069, but nah, it's just, I don't know. I'd look if there's any upcoming catalyst with it, but it's just, yeah, any pump that it had before got sold off into, so it's just bearish unless there is a confirmation of you holding Linya being eligible for the MetaMask airdrop. I think there's better tokens with better narratives. That's all I'll say. But I mean, if it can get above 7.5, then there could be a potential run with it. But again, the weekly, not looking that good, not oversold like a lot of other indicators are on other charts. So yeah. No, just that's kind of the linear chart. 6.9, maybe 6.2, if you can get it. Florigen says Ski is a good meme, not listed on Coinbase yet. Yeah, Ski is another Ski Mask, another good one. ZXHDD says Axiom. Yes, Axiom is the desktop platform I was thinking about. Axiom is a great meme trading platform as well. Axiom, you have, oh, what's the other one? GMGN, you have Nova, Trojan Bot, Sigma, Photon, Maestro. I mean, take your pick. There's a ton of bots to use. But if you want to talk about trying to trade memes the instant they're launched, Meme Scope on Photon is good. Again, Axiom has a good launch pad. GMGN has a good launch pad. So just take your pick. Tenistic Productions, what do you think about Useless? I averaged down to 14, almost at break even just a few days. I've seen more talk about Useless. I know that Uni PCS, one of the guys on X, also, like I said, again, if you guys aren't following me on X, definitely do so. It would be much appreciated. Link is in the comments at the CryptoData. But Uni PCS, another guy that I talked to in a few groups, he's very bullish on Useless. And he's even posted about it in the past hour, right? So I'll link that post so you guys can see it. So check it out. But yeah, Useless is a token that does have a chance to rise here. Again, most of these charts are looking the same. Most of them are approaching resistance. Most of them have an overbought stochastic RSI with the RSI getting close. I think Useless may have a last push up to, call it 13 cents. And so that would be the next big resistance. If Useless can get above, let's call it, if it can get above 14 cents, then Useless is sending, okay? And so that's where I would say keep an eye on this level here. 14-cent level is a big, big area to watch. I'll go ahead and draw a little resistance bar here. So 14 is a big level to watch. That would be the inflection point of starting a new trend. Let's put on the EMAs as well. You can see here it's already breaking above the 50 EMA on the daily. The next would be above the 100 EMA here. So yeah, Useless looks fairly good. Looks fairly good. I would like to see the indicators reset. You can see here the stochastic RSI was oversold. Now curving to the upside, RSI curving to the upside. So next major resistance 14. If you're looking to buy Useless, a good area of support is 9 cents. If it gets below there, if you want to be a little more aggressive with your entry, 10.5 cents. So that's my thoughts on Useless. Still looks fairly good. Changing a little trend. If Solana keeps outperforming, Useless should follow suit. That's one of the main beta plays in addition to Bonk. David says, what do you think about quantum computing in Bitcoin? I think it's a real threat to Bitcoin. I think if Bitcoin doesn't change its infrastructure in the next few years, that quantum computing could definitely become a threat. And I think, honestly, the Chinese may have already solved quantum computing, or at least someone has already solved it, seeing as a lot of those whale wallets, a lot of those dormant wallets have been selling their Bitcoin over the past 6 months. And it's a real issue. And I think no one wants to admit it because they think quantum computing is so far out. But Elon even said himself, the singularity is here. He made a tweet today where the singularity, for those who don't know, is when AI starts advancing quicker than people can plan. It basically is on a parabolic trajectory. So it's happening, and now it's just a matter of time. So just be careful, always manage risk, always have your stops in place in case quantum does get solved, and then Bitcoin just ends up going to zero, right? If it does not adapt. Bayo Edit says, real quick, do you still stand by your Gemini short TPs or think 88.5 very likely lowest bottom? Of course, I think it happen most likely. Bayo Edits, yeah, I'm most likely going to raise those TPs. So I think 88.5 is probably the lowest, so we'll hit TP1 maybe, but any lower than that is highly unlikely. So yeah, I will probably raise those. And then gold on kit. So I did talk about gold earlier, basically just something where support level is going to be at 42.70. followed by 4,000 afterwards if it can't hold. But the bearish divergence on the RSI on the weekly, crossing below signal line, signaling bearish momentum. But yeah, gold topping out is a good sign for Bitcoin. I think Bitcoin can take the reins over the next few months. I think it's going to outperform versus the S&P and precious metals. Most likely, historically, it's done so. So now it's just a matter of time and waiting for those to play out. But with that said, guys, that is going to do it. If you guys haven't liked the stream, I'd really appreciate a like. It helps spread this to the masses. Also, if you haven't subscribed to Jim Hunter's YouTube channel, please do so. It would help us a lot. And if you haven't followed me on X at the CryptoData, please do so. Again, always much appreciated. The link is in the comments. And again, guys, thank you so much. Awesome. And Tanistic, wouldn't traditional banks be hacked earlier than Bitcoin with quantum? Yes, it's a very real possibility. So I think they're actually focusing on, fortressing their systems against quantum as well. But thank you guys. Hopefully y'all enjoyed it. A lot of good people in here. Thank you so much. Hope you guys have a great weekend. Talk soon.